All right, welcome in, y'all. We are live on the Falcons podcast on YouTube. We're going to bring in Atlanta Falcons on SI. We're also going to bring in, X, Scout Kennedy on X. Once we do that, we'll get going today. It's a feisty, chilly, frigid Wednesday morning. Welcome in, everybody. This is the Falcons podcast. It is Wednesday morning. It's been brutally cold for us. We're not used to 20-degree weather down here, and then the ice storm's coming. We're used to that, unfortunately, down here, and we just stay inside when that happens. It's gotten a little heated, though, with Baker Mayfield and D-Led, Orlando Ledbetter, firing things up on X and getting things going. So we'll get into that today. The GM search has added another candidate. So has the offensive coordinator search. We'll get into that as well. First off, I want to say hello to everybody, and including this guy, Nick Kendall, over here. Nick, how you doing, my friend? Up nice and early over in Denver, Colorado.
I'm doing okay. I think the kid maybe has a daycare cold coming on because he woke up this morning at 5 and then wouldn't go back to sleep, and has just been in a pretty cruddy mood since last night. But, that's just the part of the game. So you gotta deal with the ups and downs, and I was a little late getting up here because he was having a meltdown telling me to sit down and play cards with him every time I tried to come upstairs. So, okay. And then,
Go effing fish.
Yep. So it's
that's what my 2-year-old daughter would have said. She would have dropped an F-bomb right on me, probably.
And I will share, my wife will be really mad about this, and everybody's like, "Oh, my kid is so special." I don't know, but I love him, obviously, but he's really good at words. Like, even at daycare, like, you got to be careful what you say around him. And it's like, oh, okay. My wife, we were driving by, so I work at a university, and they have a really nice gym. And I was like, oh, maybe I should get a pass there. I could, work out between like hours or whatever, and they have all the equipment. She's like, we brought all your effing weights from Seattle to Denver. You're going to use those. And my mother-in-law was in the car too, and the kid was, and he picked out the F word and conjugated, dropped the ing on it, and just said the F-bomb. And it was silent for like 10 seconds. And then he said it again. And I was in the back seat with him. I literally had to unroll my window and put my head out of the car because I was laughing
it's not funny.
Hard. Oh, yeah, thank God my mother-in-law was there too, because it was not me. It was her daughter that it came from. So, God, I'll never forget that one. That one killed me. But yes, he's got a lot to say.
Good stuff. Well, we've got some grown men acting like children, including us. I mean, I always say to us men, I don't know about you, but I peaked at maturity at about 13, maybe 13 and a half years old, and I've been stuck there. So, that's where we are. So we're going to lead off with Baker Mayfield after we say hello to some folks. And first off, I want to say hello to GATX boy speaks. He does speak. He has become a new member. That is such a huge help. Thank you so much for doing that. And you've joined several people that have taken the leap and become new members of the Falcons podcast and supported the show directly with your membership, including Dream Mac, who joined yesterday. And GATX, make sure it looks like you might have two accounts. I'm happy if you join with two accounts, but it says rejoin and joined with GATX boy and then GATX boy speaks. So I want to make sure you get double charged on that. AJ, Lance Render, they joined earlier this week as well. So thank you so much on that. Want to hit some super chats that have come in as well. Trenton was in here nice and early. He says, I'm focused on playing in January, not against Baker. And good morning right back at you. Yeah, we'll hit on this. So maybe we should get into, we'll hit this one first then too, from Art of the Genre, also a member. Thank you, my friend. He says, Nick, Penix or Mendoza, the better Indiana quarterback? I think that one's pretty easy, honestly. One was healthy and went 16-0, and the other couldn't stay on the field. And I didn't even watch either of them.
Yeah. No, you probably have to go Mendoza. Penix has a bigger arm. Mendoza seems like he's farther ahead in the mental side of the game. I mean, I don't know if you've had a chance to watch any of his like sit down whiteboard interviews, but like every single coach that he talks with, they like go goo goo gaga eyes every time they talk to him. So yeah, I mean, that's not an insult on Penix. Mendoza's going 1 overall. He's not your typical toolsy freak that goes 1 overall. He's probably closer to like CJ Stroud in terms of arm talent and mobility, but I mean, he can get it done. He has a chance to be, top 15
Yeah, maybe
quarterback.
say like a Joe Burrow right now. CJ Stroud's not the word people want to hear right this minute.
I know, but stylistically, I don't know if he's as Burrow's pretty twitched up. Like he's like quick with some of it. Mendoza's a little bit more elongated. The best comp I've heard for him when I've watched him, like, oh, I like that one, is Sam Bradford. So like not the overpowering arm, but like he can layer the ball anywhere he wants, any zone coverage, and he's very smart with where he goes. I mean, Bradford had one of the prettiest strokes any quarterback I remember watching.
Yeah. So I just, again, as far as the better QB, now the better prospect, we'll see. Again, health was always what scared us about Penix. 4 season-ending injuries was scary, and now 5 in 7 seasons is it's scary. The Bryce is wrong has also come in and become a member. Thank you so much, Bryce. Love y'all for doing that. It means a lot, and we try and make it worth your while. Programming note, if you didn't notice, and I'll probably have Harrison come in here also, we'll just introduce him and say hello to this community. We started a Braves podcast on this channel yesterday. So it's Braves on SI on Facebook, and on YouTube, it'll still be here. So we're doing a bunch of different things. We got 2 Falcons podcasts that we do a couple times a week with me, Nick, and Garrett. And then a Braves podcast has been added as well to the Scott Kennedy Sports channel. So we have those on SI, and he's at every game and does a really good job. So let's get into this real quick. The Baker Mayfield. Now, this kind of got started off with Orlando Ledbetter, D-Led, coming out, and he wrote an article talking about what what Stefanski had to deal with the quarterback situation in Cleveland. And he starts off by saying Kevin Stefanski had a dumpster fire at quarterback in Cleveland. Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson failed. Baker took issue with that because, and Nick, to be fair on this, Baker, for a rival quarterback, is pretty well thought of by Atlanta Falcons fans. I mean, we all like the underdog story. Former walk-on, he's come through, flames out in Cleveland for one reason or another, bounces around and has found success, and it genuinely seems like a pretty good dude. It's like, when he has success, I saw someone say, people are going to hate me for this, but I don't hate. It was one of the Twitter guys for Falcons, AVN or somebody, saying, I kind of like Baker. Almost everybody's like, hey, I like Baker too. I got no problem with Baker. Well, Baker comes back and says, failed is quite the reach, pal. Yes, it is. And D-Led got community noted on this one about how Baker actually did a really good job in Cleveland. Still waiting on a text/call from him, Stefanski, after I got shipped off like a piece of garbage. Can't wait to see you twice a year, coach. So he's not blaming him for leaving. He didn't say for him shipping me off, but he's saying, I do hold it a little personal that I played for you all this time, and I didn't even get at least a text or a phone call saying, hey, thanks, good luck. Sorry it didn't work out, nothing. And frankly, if that's how it played out, I understand. And I don't know why, Baker would lie about something like that. I understand Baker. He has a right to be a little upset about that. I got laid off from Sports Illustrated, and one of the guys I helped get and keep a job when I got it, never heard from him. I'm still a little pissed about that. That was 7 years ago. I get it. I do.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any issue with what Baker said. Now, sometimes there is something to be said about taking the high road and keeping it to yourself. But from an audience perspective, I mean, this is entertainment, and this adds a layer of drama. I mean, they're going to be seeing each other twice a year, and Baker is going to be, PO'd about it. And I'll be curious to see if Stefanski has anything to say. I would guess not. I mean, coach speak, as you like to say, Scott. But yeah, I don't begrudge Baker Mayfield for harboring some frustrations towards Stefanski if it did play out that way. So we might never know. It could be a he said, she said. But I mean, if I was in Baker's shoes, I would expect at least a, thanks for what you did. We're going in a different direction. Good luck. I mean, even if it's, corporate PR, at least, you did the honorable thing of communicating.
Yeah. So I get it. I understand with why Baker would be on that. Now, the second part of this morning is professional pot stirrer Skip Bayless weighing in, who has already picked the Shedeur Sanders side of the Shedeur Sanders versus the world beef, and blasted Atlanta for the hire, for the Kevin Stefanski hire already this week. And then follows back up. This was last night. Go Baker, go. Call out Stefanski. Say you can't wait to see him twice next year. You made him. Then he predictably turned on you. He's a smug fraud, an awful hire for Atlanta. He fooled blank. He'll shoot blanks. Now, if I'm Baker Mayfield, I'm like, bro, I don't need your help. Oh man, Skip Bayless is on my side. Son of a I might be in the wrong here. Sorry. You just you say, and these are my favorite. Who the F cares what Skip Bayless thinks? Cody, it's my most read story this week. What Skip Bayless thinks. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that do. So whether they do, and they say he's a moron. I'm not sure he is a moron.
He's a provocateur.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a clown. Like by definition, honk the nose.
He'll make more money in a year than Nick and I'll probably make in our lives by being a blowhard. Yep. I mean, I'm not saying he's stupid. I just put no weight into what he says. And if I'm Baker and Skip Bayless is on my side, I start thinking, I'm on the wrong side of this. And I'm not saying he is. It's just I don't want Skip Bayless on my side of anything, because what he does is he takes a hot topic, he picks a side, and then he goes overboard with it because that's a shtick, and it's worked wonders for him on it. So it's been an interesting, and it's been interesting, and it has. Baker's repost got 17 million views on X. What his comments on it got 17 views. Everybody's picked up on it, and frankly, we need a little spice. The NFC South has been garbage. 8-9 has won this division like 2 out of the last 4 years. We could use it a little fired up. I mean, it's not dangerous, so to speak. It's not going to hurt anybody or anything. Stefanski's not going to become a better or worse coach. They're not going to win or lose because of an X post in January. So that's all it is. But it is. We'll hear this again a couple times a year, and it's January. It's the offseason. It's entertaining, Nick.
Yeah, we do need some spice coming from Carolina or towards Carolina. Maybe we should chat. I'm putting it on you guys. Let's find like something to pick at to create some irritation with the Carolina Panther franchise. Because I don't know if you saw also this week we had some Saints Buccaneers drama as well with Cam Jordan calling Tristan Wirfs fat and a bad athlete. And he was kind of making the point, like in general, offensive linemen are not good athletes compared to defensive linemen. Like I could see that, but still, like Tristan Wirfs is an unbelievable athlete, and like your power profile is part of your athleticism, right? Like football is the ultimate. Like there's different types of athleticism.
The size ratio is all part of it. It was silly, and Cam Jordan plays a role.
Yes,
Cam Jordan plays a role. He's probably him and Sean Payton are probably the two most disliked people in Atlanta as far as sports figures goes, at least on the football side of things. Yeah. And then I see him and pictures of him and Matt Ryan giving each other big hugs. It's a role. And I don't like it. I want people to be authentic, to be more authentic. And if it's different than saying, okay, when you step on the field and you're prime time, and you're all this me and all this, but you're in the locker room, your teammates rave about you. That's different. Mm-hmm. That's different. That's, or, oh man, he's a totally different person when he steps on the field. That's a little different. I'm talking about, he's almost playing a wrestling character. He's playing a heel.
WWE. It's exactly
he's playing a heel instead of being actually, who he is. And that's kind of lame. I think that's just lame.
I will have to say, I'm not a wrestling fan at all, but I'm a giant George Kittle fan, and he kind of leans into some of that. It's some of the silliness and the smack talk of it as well. And I think it's all in good fun. So I don't mind it too much. If it gets personal, there's obviously like some blurred lines there, but yeah, we'll see what happens. And I see the chat saying Baker Mayfield requested a trade. I don't know. I haven't seen anything verified about that.
No, I mean, at one point, but I think that was after the Deshaun Watson trade.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was after the fact, So
so they're talking a while ago. Okay, I
yeah,
thought it like
yeah,
just
no, it was after I think that was after the Deshaun Watson trade. So did Matt Ryan,
Mhm.
and they didn't even get Deshaun Watson on that one. Jen is 31. Good to see you. It's been a long time since I've caught y'all live. Wanted to show you some love. Well, thank you, my friend. He says, I like the Stefanski hire. If he can make the Browns to the playoffs twice, it's a sign of competency at the very least. Yeah, and what's crazy is, the Bayless, Baker made you thing. No, you know what made him? And one of the things to me that made Sean Payton was going 5-1 with Teddy Bridgewater, or 6-0 Teddy Bridgewater, going 5-1 with Jameis Winston. That impressed me. Winning 11 games and I still have to look it up. I still have to check my notes who all they were with. Let's see, where did I write it down? I can't find it, but it was Deshaun Watson. I think it was Joe Flacco, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Jeff Driscoll, and the one I always forget is PJ Walker. That's the one I always forget is PJ Walker. 5.
Played against the Broncos.
Nobody started more than 6 games. He started 5 quarterbacks, 6 games, won 11 games, and had the number 10 scoring offense in the NFL. To me, that's impressive. Now, Scott, well, that wasn't all him. That was 0-0. Okay, that's fine. For the Cleveland Browns, that was an impressive accomplishment, and Kevin Stefanski was the head coach of that team. Those are facts. Mm-hmm. That much I know to be true. That's impressive. That impresses me.
And in the division that they're in as well. I mean, Joe Burrow has been there during that time. Obviously, the Steelers have been very good. And then you got Lamar with the Ravens. So it's not like he was going out there and winning no offense, the NFC South, what it's been. I mean, that's been the toughest division in football, I would say, until this last season. So, yeah, I mean, Stefanski, I need at some point, Scott, I've been busy, but go back and roll back the tape to October, because I was saying, I think Stefanski would be a hell of a get. He's bringing a system with him, and what he's done despite the stink of Cleveland around him and, seeping in to his pores, has been pretty good. So we'll see. Again, coaches, it's not like when you evaluate a player, you have the one-on-one reps that you can really evaluate and be like, oh yeah, this guy's got juice. Duh. Like coaches is hard because they're pulling strings and whatnot. And it takes a pretty broad sample to really start to say if this guy has it or not, in my opinion. But he's definitely one of the better ones this cycle, in my opinion, and checks the boxes that the Falcons were looking for specifically with this team. And I've also, to this point, liked the hires that he's brought in as well. I mean, one of the big selling points for me for potentially signing Robert Saleh was keeping Ulbrich here with what the Falcons defense is doing and what they're building. Did I think that happened with Stefanski or these other guys coming in here? No, but I'm pleased as heck about it. So we'll see what it looks like for the offense and everything. But this is a great hire. The only one I would have liked more out of all these guys is Harbaugh, and he was probably always one of the Giants.
And I'm not saying you want to get him, but we know Harbaugh was gone. Stefanski or McDermott?
I mean, you wanted the offensive guy. You kept saying that as well. McDermott would have been good. I think it's not his fault for what's going on in Buffalo. I can't believe the general manager got a promotion.
The Buffalo fans are pissed, dude. They're pissed.
I would be too, because they've drafted 2 good players in the last 6 drafts.
Yeah, not necessarily that McDermott's out, but that Bean didn't go with him. They're pissed.
Not only did he not go with him, he got a promotion.
That's how I felt about Dimitroff when they fired Mike Smith. I'm like, this is the guy that built this unbalanced roster. He needs to go too. Fine, you're gonna fire him. Fine. This guy needs to go too.
It's unfortunately one of the truths in life. Sometimes it's better to be buddy with your boss than it is to be competent at your job.
Speaking of which, Trenton says, please don't allow politics on your channel, Scott. Please. I don't think I do. I mean,
there was a picture of there was a meme political picture that somebody gave. But you've also pulled up, other political profile pictures before. So ask people not to have political profile pictures, I guess.
Oh, that was?
Yeah, there was one.
Notice it. Yeah, sorry, I didn't even notice it. That's how much I try and keep away from it. No, I mean, Nick and I have similar values, and that's the thing about most of people. No matter which side of the aisle they're on, if you ask them what's important to them, you're going to get the same answer most of the time. Let's work towards that, and let's leave left, right out of it. Let's see if we can find common ground and see how we can we want our kids to grow up in a safe environment, in a place where we can prosper and be well educated and have fun. I mean, that's kind of what we all want. Now, how we get there, I don't know, but no, I didn't even notice that. So
yeah, it's a stupid. I mean, no offense to whoever had the meme picture, but like, God bless you. You pick what you want to do. But it was just like a meme photo of the vice president.
Okay, yeah, I didn't even notice it. So
yeah, it's like way down the weird internet.
No, I get angry enough with sports that if I got way into politics, I'd be one of those people that would just lose it, because it's so infuriating how all of it is working and has worked forever. That's why I've stayed out of it. This isn't anything new. It's just been turned up a notch here in the last couple of cycles. Let's go here. Edward Brown, good to see you. Thanks for the super chat and supporting the channel. He says, if one more head coach would have gotten let go, let's say Aaron Glenn or Matt LaFleur, and Aaron Glenn was on the hot seat after 1 year. Matt LaFleur, that was close. A third of the league would have had new coaches this season. It's crazy. Yeah, and are there that many good candidates out there? Probably. I've said there are. I can promise you, out of 10,000 head football coaches out there around the world, I feel like I can do better. Just like the best available prospect thing is a myth. Just because they're NFL head coaches doesn't mean they're the most qualified guys on the planet. They're out there. They're hard to find. And more importantly, you've got to have the structure around them. And we'll get into general manager here shortly.
And just to your point, Scott, I think it was 9 head coaches were fired, 9 or 10. I don't remember what it is with after McDermott's fired, but only 2 general managers. I think.
It was 10. It was 10 coaches, including Tomlin. We can add him in there as a resigned, but we can add Tomlin in there. It was 10. So it matched 2022. And 8 of those are gone. So 8 of those were after, that's 4 seasons, I guess. You hire them in 2022 season, 23, 24, 25.
But it's crazy that only 2 general managers in comparison. And I'm proud of it. I mean, even though I think good draft this last draft, the team has not lived up to expectations comparatively, and there's been some missteps. So I'm happy to have the clean sweep. And we'll see who the Falcons end up bringing in for general manager. But so far, I mean, getting Stefanski in here, especially getting it done with haste as well, like with the timeline. I mean, do you think Stefanski / Harbaugh are kicking themselves now that the Bills are available? Not that the Bills are some blue blood franchise by any means, but we all know what Josh Allen can be out there. So
well, and Nick, as far as sustained success, again, I've been on Bill's podcast and I said we feel a kinship with Buffalo here in Atlanta because of the Braves. With the constant being good and failing was what the Bills and Braves had a lot of that going on. So I think I saw something that said, 4 teams in NFL history have won a playoff game in 7 consecutive seasons. It was, like the 49ers of this, the Cowboys of this, and the Patriots of this. All 3 of them won at least 1 Super Bowl. And the Bills never even made it to a Super Bowl in this round. I get it. I'd like to have some sustained success. That's where, I see people like, oh man, I don't want McCarthy, and just get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. Like, what are playoffs? I don't remember. What are those? I would like to at least take a step forward. And again, I understand the thought. If I'm not shooting for a Super Bowl and he can't win me a Super Bowl, then what am I making the hire for? Well, then why are we following football, y'all? I mean, it's been 60 years the Falcons haven't won a Super Bowl. Why are we even following this team? I want to enjoy my Sundays, Thursdays, Mondays, sometimes Saturdays, games, and enjoy the product that I'm watching for 18 weeks and then maybe get a 19th out of it. Call me super biased because of the Braves. I hate the playoffs, man. I hate them. I think it punishes excellence. It lessens the long part of the season that we actually watch, and it boils it down to 1 weekend. I don't want 4 months of my life pissed away because of one play on a Saturday in January. Then I'm mad about the whole season. I've seen Broncos fans, Nick. Is this season a failure if they don't do this, this, or this? They're 14-3, man. Yeah. No, the season was awesome. It's a great season. I'm looking forward to some of that. We haven't had enough of that here in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's been wheels spinning with no traction a lot for the Falcons, but the division is there for them. There seems to be some upheaval potentially occurring in Tampa Bay here pretty soon. I'm kind of worried that Tomlin will find his way down there. He does have the Tampa Bay connection, right? Am I mistaken on that one? I can't recall, but we'll see what happens there. Saints are up and coming. Tyler Shuck looks solid, and Panthers are okay. Ejiro Evero, their defense coordinator, is getting more head coach interviews, but I don't think he'll get poached. But division is still there for the taking, and the Falcons got building blocks. I know it's unfortunate they don't have a first-round pick this year, but where would have they been picking, Scott? 12, 14? I mean, I honestly 13.
Mm-hmm.
I honest to God do not think that the talent that you're going to get where you're picking in the second round is going to be all that different this year than compared to what you're going to get at 13. It's not a superstar class at the top. And there's a lot of day 2 graded guys.
It's the wrong year to be trying to reach for a quarterback. I tell you that.
Yeah. And the Raiders got lucky. If the Raiders are picking 2, they're screwed. Having 1 overall with just Mendoza right there, fine. But I mean, even then, you talk
2022, but it's not great either.
No, and then you talk about your superstar positions. I mean, who are your like blue chip players in here? They all play devalued positions. Caleb Downs is a safety. You're taking a safety 2 overall? No. Jeremiah Love. I think Jeremiah Love's better.
The running back. I've seen him number 1 on some boards.
He might be the best player in the class, but he's a running back. I think he's better than Ashton Genty, honestly. But you taking him top 3? I mean, maybe in this class. And I also think Sonny Styles has a chance to be a blue chipper as well at Ohio State, but he's a true off-ball linebacker. So, you're missing your offensive tackles. I'm sorry, Scott. It's just you actually do have a hybrid pass rush stack type in this class, his teammate in Arvell Reese, but I digress. That's you would take, in hindsight, JPJ 1,000 times out of 1,000, I think, with what you've had.
I've said all along, if any Falcons fan, anybody wants to give you crap about that trade. Oh, you don't have your first round draft pick. What? It's not like we just lost it. Where'd it go? Can't find it.
There it is.
No, the guy had 10.5 sacks.
Yeah, he looks good.
If you wanted, I just answered. Well, we could probably get one if we wanted to trade James Pierce Jr. We could probably get a top 10 pick for that if we wanted to, but we don't want to. I said it was like it was kind of like Dimitrov with Lindstrom and Terrell in the last 2 drafts. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for finally addressing defense and offensive line. It was too little too late, and you're on your way out the door.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nice parting gift. It took too long to address the defense for Terry Fontenot. It was too little too late, but it was a nice parting gift. Thank you. And you're on your way out the door. The next regime will be very thankful for that pick. Even if they don't have a first-round pick, they'll be very thankful to have
JPJ.
To have James Pierce Jr. and Trent says, I'm willing to super chat to keep the Shador talk out of Atlanta. There's no place in football for that BS. It's kind of like it's a non-factor for me right now. I mean, he's a 5th round, just started quarterback. I mean, it's not that much different, from Desmond Ridder. I mean, there's really not that much difference right now between Shador Sanders and Desmond Ridder. Ridder was actually drafted higher than any of the last 3 quarterbacks the Browns have taken. Significantly higher. But hey, let's get a chance. I'm interested in Shador Sanders as a player. He got a chance to play. Didn't look very good. Most rookies don't. See how he plays. After that, I don't need the rest of the noise. I don't want to hear it. I'll put my fingers in my ears like this. So I can't listen to sports talk radio unless I can correct some of the BS I'm listening to. I just can't do it.
Yeah, I hear you. It's like I just want to retort back. Like, that's flawed logic. What are you talking about there? Bobby Means coming to super chat here, talking about our wrestling fans. Scott, Bobby Means. I'm assuming that's a wrestler.
Is that Rhea? Is that who that is? I don't know. I realized how long it's been since I've actually watched wrestling that I'm watching Chris Fillet on I think that's his last name, on Instagram doing interviews with people that I love them. I'll watch the interviews. I like the storylines. The drama is what's fun to me. And then it's, the spectacle of wrestling is fun. I always just said it's like stuntmen soap operas. It's fun. But I've seen Rhea on his show and she's freaking awesome. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, AJ Styles had 300,000 matches, the most ever in WWE history. I'm like, I've never even seen an AJ Styles match. I've never seen a CM Punk match. I don't know any of these guys. I kind of was lost with the Attitude Era. We didn't lose Bobby, though. Bobby has found the nest. Thank you for becoming a member, my friend. Lance, this is a good question for you. I said Lance. Nick, this is a good question from Lance. Bill Callahan Sr., is that a concern? The Titans had 3 first-rounders, 2 in the top 11 on the offensive line, and the 6th highest paid. Yeah, that's part of the problem, but I'll get into that in a second. They were poor with him, but better after. A Hall of Fame guy, but maybe an age regression?
It's very possible, no doubt. I think that, they did really invest in that offensive line with his son. Now, granted, you have the weird nepotism stuff there as well, and maybe taking players on the line that didn't really match the talent available on the board at the time. But the guys that they did bring in had questions. There was questions about Latham's foot speed. There was questions about not Stefanski, Skoronski, guard or tackle. There's been, obviously, when they pay, I'll leave the floor for you for the center position, but I think that it definitely is something to keep an eye on, especially because the Falcons are moving on from what was a really good offensive line coach. But I think you do have to trust Stefanski with the offensive staff. Or question it. It's up to you. You get to do what you want. But for me personally, I would trust Stefanski with the offensive staff right now and give them benefit of the doubt in some of that change. Callahan does have a lot of skins on the wall, and let's reevaluate in 18 games if they've massively regressed compared to their form without injury and other variables going in there. Then we'll have to have a conversation. But for now, I think that it's more of the stench of the Titans organization than anything else, and a quarterback in Cam Ward who really talented, very helpful to the offensive line as he plays.
I think I've been super harsh on the Titans because of how I watched them flush $100 million down the drain with guys. There are two teams I watch every game of: the Denver Broncos, because we were doing Broncos for breakfast, and the Atlanta Falcons. And I watched them spend big money on the center, Lloyd Cushenberry from the Denver Broncos, who ran out his rookie deal, was awful, bad, still bad, and okay. Those were his 4 years in Denver. And he gets a huge contract from the Titans. What are you doing? And then the other one they bring in, they get $50 million guaranteed to Calvin Ridley. You might as well blow up your team. They did. Give $50 million guaranteed to Calvin Ridley on a team that is already struggling, and you are trying to work the ascension. And I think that might have been that general managers. That's one of the reasons why we maybe haven't seen so many fire general managers, is because they'll usually get 2 coaches. I think that might have been the last year of that general manager, because I made a comment about that and someone corrected me. I was like, listen, I don't watch the Titans every day, but when I see somebody do this, I automatically think you're an idiot. And someone replied, I can tell you don't watch the Titans every day because that general manager was gone. I'm like, okay, good, because those are fireable offenses. So the Titans have been a train wreck. And it's from the top down. Personnel, salary cap, they've been really bad. And Nick, we've talked about that as far as the level of jobs that are out there. I don't think the Titans are a great job right now, especially with 10. When there's 10 of them, they're a bottom half job. The Raiders, bottom 5th job. Cardinals, bottom 5th job. There was a post, I reposted it. Someone says, you mean nobody wants to coach a 3-14 team with in a monster division with no plan at quarterback? That's really surprising. Who do you think they were talking about? I thought they were talking about the Raiders.
I would have said the Browns.
And they were talking about the Cardinals.
Yeah.
He didn't say, he was talking about the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, and I was just waiting for somebody to come back. Well, Atlanta's been kind of a clown show too. I know, but the monster division made sure I knew it wasn't the NFC South at the time, let alone the records. But
yeah.
But I would have said it was the Raiders.
Yeah.
And no offense, but Raiders fans know this. They've had to live it. I'm not throwing shade at the Raiders. I'm not throwing shade at the Cardinals. They know. If someone says the Atlanta Falcons fan, you guys have been underachieving nothings for a long time. We know. That's not insulting. That's truth. We know.
You can't hurt me anymore. I've looked in the mirror.
Know.
Yeah.
We know.
Thanks,
so
Lance, for the super chat.
Well, let's get to this. Yeah, thank you, Lance. Let's get to this real quick because a new name popped up on the general manager scene. It was been pretty well assumed by us that it was going to be Ian Cunningham, Chicago Bears, or Josh Williams, 49ers. I still think it will be, but there's a new name that has jumped up, and Andy Weidl. Apologies, it's Weidl. Weidl would be my guess on how to pronounce his name. But Nick, he's got the same arc that you're like, yes, thank you. He's not coming from the Saints where, they got Sean Payton and Drew Brees and credit carded their salary cap for a decade. That's not repeatable. The Saints had a great run, but that's not a model I want to try and follow. This guy comes from the Ravens, the Eagles, the Steelers. As assistant GM.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard to know about the assistant GM. It's even harder than head coach. Like I always say, you want to give general managers probably 5 years, head coaches 3 years, players a year and a half, a lot of times, figure out what they're going to be, kind of like what their baseline is. But I'm happy that they're kind of not just constantly going in the Saints Bears bucket that we saw there for a long time with Terry Fontenot. And so far, again, we'll see how it works out for Matt Ryan, but I've liked the process for how he's gone about guys. And now that you have Stefanski in here as well, who's been around the league for a bit with some connections and a part of this process as well. I've liked the order of things here for the Falcons. So we'll see. Right now, I probably like again, I just kind of said, don't only take Bears people, but right now I kind of lean towards Cunningham, but impossible to say at this point. So I wish I could be in the interviews and hear what they have to say and judge them on their plan more than, their credentials exactly. Because we're getting the resume, but we're not getting the interview.
Right. And that's all we know. And I know that there's teams I admire and how they handle offseason, especially the draft. The Baltimore Ravens have been my favorite since I've been back into this, which is now, I guess this is our sixth draft cycle. I've really admired how the Ravens do things. You don't win. I don't care who your coach is. You don't win. You don't go 19 years without a losing season unless your front office is put together and the structure is in place like they've done in Pittsburgh. And then, it seems simple enough, but let's build in the trenches and let's get it right. Let's get it right, which Philadelphia Eagles have done. So all good things there. So those are my thoughts. Pamela, thank you for this. Also, thank you for being a member. I mentioned at the top that we've started a Braves podcast on this channel, simply called just like nobody ever takes these. I don't know why. This is the Falcons podcast, and falconspodcast.com takes you right here. Well, we got Braves podcast. He says, I'm doing my happy dance over Andrew Jones' final nomination to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Definitely planning a road trip upstate to New York this summer when he gets enshrined. Yeah, I've seen it. There were 4 players with 10 gold gloves and 400 home runs. 3 of them are not just like greats, but all-time greats. It was like Mike Schmidt, Willie Mays, and I don't remember who the third one was. It's in my notes somewhere. And Andrew Jones. And the thing about Andrew Jones and, Atlanta fans, hopefully there's enough Braves crossover here that I'm not boring you to death. Andrew Jones is probably my all-time favorite Brave. But he was just so naturally gifted. He's arguably the most naturally gifted baseball player that I've ever seen, that he didn't work. He didn't have to work. He didn't put in the extra work. He wasn't a baseball junkie like Nick likes to talk about, like some of these quarterbacks. The guy was Jamarcus Russell with a bat in his hand, but he could get away with that in baseball. Jamarcus can't get away with that in football. Yeah. Jamarcus I've talked about him before, is just one of the most perfect prospects I've ever seen from a physical standpoint. Andrew Jones was like that. Could do everything. Hit, fielding, instincts, just amazing. But he didn't work. And when he starts hitting 30, starts hitting the bad ages, when you've got to try and prolong your career with nutrition and working out, exercising, all those extra things in order to do it, he didn't. and he didn't have that in his background, and he fell off a cliff. And it hurt him. If he had been that guy, if he had been, the Mamba mentality, the Derek Jeter of stuff, he could have played till he was 40 and put up 600 home runs. But he just he wasn't that guy. He was just that gift. He was so good that he'd get called lazy for making catches that nobody else could make because he was already there. So I loved Andrew Jones, and he deserved to be in there, and it took a little bit longer. Jaredy says, I like the fact that the Falcons are interviewing offensive coordinator candidates. Yeah, there's another one that popped up. Drew Terrell, Stanford guy, has been wide receivers coach most recently. So that'd be definitely a step up for him, a big step up. And I don't mind that with Kevin Stefanski. Someone asked me, Nick, who's your offensive coordinator? Kevin Stefanski. You bring in a guy that you trust who can help implement a game plan that you can groom. Who doesn't necessarily have to have play calling in his background because Stefanski's a guy.
And I've honestly liked some of what Tommy Rees has done. I saw there were some people in the chat that were saying, not Tommy Rees, and I get the stink of the Browns, but there's been a few times when Stefanski, when the season's kind of, gone off the rails with quarterbacks or injuries, that they've given play calling to Tommy Rees, and I've liked some of the design of what they're doing. And it really, again, it comes down to you hired the head coach, empower him to make those decisions. And, once he has his guys, he either, sails or sinks. So we'll see how it plays out. But right now I would expect Tommy Rees to follow, just kind of knowing how they work out. But it's good that they're also doing the work to interview people and bring in some potentially other ideas as well. So
what is Brian Callahan doing? And what's the chances he joins the staff too? Is that too much Callahan?
I mean, I like Tommy Boy, so I've never had too much Callahan in my life. But that's
second favorite comedy. Blazing Saddles is my favorite comedy.
Blazing Saddles.
Tommy Boy is number 2.
Tommy Boy is fantastic. Gosh, man, Chris Farley. There won't be another one like him. But I digress. We'll see how it plays out. I wouldn't mind bringing in Callahan either. I mean, he was really successful with what the Bengals did for those years on the offensive side of the ball as well. And you kind of bring in then some of the LaFleur tree with this, their head coach. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Zach Taylor as well. He was a LaFleur kind of guy. So with Stefanski, you're kind of obviously that's very few. It's a little homogenous right now on the offensive side of the ball across the league, other than Ben Johnson, which I think is kind of fun if you've been following that kind of irritation between Ben Johnson versus Nick Vay, Kyle Shanahan. You didn't kiss the ring, so they don't like Ben Johnson. But I digress. It's right now I bet on Tommy Rees, but we'll see. You're right. It's operationally who they bring in to get the game plan together and help the head coach, because Stefanski is bringing the system and ideally calling the plays.
Where are we on this talking about McDaniel? Baby Driver, do you think they'll bring in McDaniel from Miami for coordinator? No, that definitely won't happen. I don't know if they even interviewed him. I don't remember that for sure. It all kind of runs together.
Yeah.
They might have. I thought he might end up with Robert Saleh. Saleh just got picked up by the Titans.
Yep. Which I'm excited about, because I don't know if you saw like Saleh and Liam Cohen. If you remember, they had a lot of issues.
Again, the two worst divisions in football have been the AFC and NFC South. We're gonna spice things up a little bit. See, it's all part of the script. It's Triple H back there writing. We need a little heat in these areas. It's cooled off a little bit. We need some heat. But he's going to, and this is a great move for him. He's going to LA to coach the Chargers. Mike McDaniel pulled his name out of the Cleveland Browns job. And I look at this, and people are saying Spaceballs is better than Blazing. No, it's not. I can promise you saw Spaceballs first, and that was what biased you. So you saw a lot of the same things in Blazing Saddles that you'd already seen in Spaceballs. Blazing Saddles was better. There's opinions and there's facts. This one is fact.
My favorite probably is, and I'm different generation than you, Scott, but Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I could put that on every time and laugh.
I do. I love that movie. Got 2 little dogs. And, I'm not even going to say. Never mind. Maybe for the members' chats.
Yeah.
I do love that movie. Jason Duckworth, great to see you. Thanks for being a member, my friend. Because I'm excited for the Stefanski era. We finally got an experienced head coach coming in. Well, I mean, Raheem had experience too, despite the fact that ESPN ignored it. First time that Atlanta's brought in a coach with previous head coaching experience since 1997 when they hired Dan Reeves, or 2023-4 when they hired Raheem Morris. Remember? No, we didn't remember. This was written and edited by a 22-year-old intern that thinks the world started 5 years ago. What do you think the odds are of us winning the South next season? Even money at worst, I would think. But again, it's going to be on the quarterback as far as where that goes. Also, I'm going to write this up later today. I'll look it up right now. But I was like, a reason for optimism, and the reason why, and you may not be so optimistic, is because the same graph I saw said the Falcons have been like the team least affected by injuries over the last decade. But the team most affected by total points and games missed for injuries in the 2025 season. And number 1 was the Cardinals. Number 2 was the Commanders. Number 3 was the 49ers. We knew that. I can't believe they even got as far as they did. Not surprised they were blown out. They were out of players. The Buffalo Bills was 4, the Dolphins 5, and the Falcons 6, according to Sports Info Solutions. So injuries really, really bagged on them. And where were the Buccaneers? I felt like the Buccaneers were kind of a banged up team too. They weren't that much farther down, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They were 11, so middle of the pack. But, the Buccaneers, they had their window, and I feel like they're a little bit on the decline, need to build back up with some higher draft picks and shedding some old guy salary caps, etc. The Saints got a freaking gift. My God, the Derek Carr thing was just unbelievable. Voodoo magic they pulled off down in Louisiana for that, to just wipe $50 million off the books.
It's a get out of jail free card.
Right? Oh. And then the Panthers are improving also. So it might not be back to the heydays of the 2000s or 2010s when the South was the best division in football, but it's getting better. It shouldn't be the worst, and it probably wasn't the worst this year. It was, it was pretty close though. The Jaguars, but then after that, the Colts weren't very good. The Texans were good too. So no, it wasn't the AFC South this year either. But the South should be better. I'm excited. Thank you for coming in, my friend. Appreciate the super. And I think we've hit some of the things that I wanted to talk about. Let me see what we're talking about. People are talking about Old School and Tropic Thunder. So yeah, those are newer. I'm going to go back to, anything that is my favorite probably is before the year 2000, and it's just etched in stone.
Animal House. Call it Animal House.
Yeah, that was just a shade before my time.
Okay.
Caddyshack was my first of that genre.
Okay.
So I liked Animal House, but I was a Caddyshack fan, so it might be the same thing. Oh man, no, Animal House is better than Caddyshack. That's a debate that I'm on that one. The AFC North fell off in a big way this year. They
were the best forever.
Yeah, and that was a grind. That was a grind there for sure. Let's see on that one. Xavier coming in saying, all I'm saying is Penix is my QB unless his ankles give out or knees, et cetera, et cetera. But that's, again, what are the Falcons going to do at quarterback? They're going to sign a bridge veteran in the 15 million range, and knowing that you'll get a chance to compete for the starting lineup, and you may start depending on how quickly Penix is, but Penix is going to get another shot to be the starter of this team. That's what the Atlanta Falcons are going to do. It could be Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins they're going to have to cut him first. Let's be clear on that. I hope anybody that talks about bringing Kirk Cousins back understands that he gets a $35 million dead cap hit when he's cut, because they have to cut him by March 13th. Then they would re-sign him. He would have the chance to go out and sign with anybody else if he wanted to. But they could do that before free agency hits. We've terminated this contract. We're taking on a $35 million dead cap hit. We're spreading it across 2 seasons, and we're re-signing him to a 1-year, $15 million with 10 guaranteed. That could happen. Joe Flacco.
I was going to say Joe Flacco's the other one.
There you go, Nick.
Yeah, I was going to say Joe Flacco. I mean, if you're going for maybe not even a 1-year gap, but, we'll see what happens with the likes of Penix and his recovery and what his timeline is like. You probably want to bring in somebody that can help facilitate the installation of the offense that has been there before. And granted, we kind of talked about already that there's different verbiage, but a lot of the same concepts with this Shanahan, McVay, West Coast. I mean, Mike Shanahan, and then Bill Walsh above that. But yeah, right now I think that makes Joe Flacco or Kirk Cousins back makes a lot of sense. If Cousins wasn't already here and like was just a straight up free agent, it didn't have some of the the contract stuff and just kind of how that weirdness might be for them, then I'd say that makes a lot of sense. He played well enough down the stretch to be a stopgap kind of guy. And again, to really emphasize the point of bringing in somebody who knows the system, just so it's a little bit easier to get everybody else up and running around Penix, because it is still Penix's team at the end of the day, this upcoming season. Now, after this season, cards on the table. I mean, we're gonna evaluate everything, I would imagine. But it depends on how Penix plays and how he heals. I mean, that's unfortunately for him, that's part of the equation. Yeah. So we'll see. But bringing in somebody who does know the system, knows Stefanski, can help with installation, I think is paramount.
Mac Jones is still under contract for a year. Kenny Pickett is a free agent. So, a couple of the guys, free agents. Daniel Jones is going to be expensive, and the Colts really want to keep him back. Marcus Mariota, I don't think he's welcome back in Atlanta. Zach Wilson was actually the 5th highest paid guy that is pending a free agent. But there will be some salary cap moves, like Kirk Cousins, Tyrod Taylor, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, you put him on the roster and you're guaranteed to go to a championship game. He's got 7 in his career. I want to say he's like the Robert Ory of the NFL, but Robert Ory was a good player. He was a good role player, but he was a good role player that seemed to find his way into really good situations too. Mitch Trubisky is 31 and a half. Case Keenum, no. Trey Lance, maybe is a 3. Carson Wentz is still out there. Josh Johnson has played for all 37 NFL teams. Might as well make it another one. I think this might be the only one he didn't. Malik Willis is going to get some money.
He is. Yeah.
Let's see. Gardner Minshew is somebody that I've been interested in also.
He got hurt,
Mac Jones you'd have to trade for Mac Jones. You'd have to trade for people that said, what about Stetson Bennett? They'd have to trade for Stetson Bennett. He was a 4th. But I don't know that you'd have to give up much. I mean, has his value gone up? It's stagnated at best. So it's kind of where I see that. There'll be options, not great options. Your options right now for me in my head are what's the future of quarterback at this team? Michael Penix gets a shot. If it's not Michael Penix, they go back into the draft in 2027. That's what I'm thinking for quarterback with the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, very possible. We'll see. I'm curious what the market will be like for Jarrett Stidham after he wins the Super Bowl for the Broncos these next 2. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, you never know. But he's got that Peyton stuff, and I know Denver's got crazy long odds to win now, as they probably should with Bo Nix out and Stidham in there. But it'll be an interesting offseason. But with the whole new regime coming with the Falcons, I know we keep saying it year after year for the most part, but next year is a transition and evaluation year. The cap will be healthy at that point, and you'll have a lot of important players, especially on the defensive side of the ball, year 3 of their contract. So we'll see how it plays out. I see people saying Carson Beck.
I don't want Carson Beck, and I've said that since he was at Georgia and he was getting touted as number 1 overall. I'm like, this guy's not very good. I mean, from a pro perspective, he's just I don't see it. I don't see him as an NFL quarterback. Could be wrong. Again, the only way to not be wrong is to not make predictions, but I wouldn't draft him.
Yeah. We'll see how it plays.
Davis Mills is not a free agent. He's got 1 more year.
Yep. A lot of them are. So
yeah,
we'll see how it plays out. But yeah,
and they're not going to want to lose Davis Mills right now either. Let's be honest.
No. Yeah,
they're going to want to hold on to Davis Mills. I mean, CJ Stroud's on his seat's warming up right now. And, the concussions, I don't know what it was, but he is, they'll pick up his 5th-year option because it's, if my quarterback room is still under $35 million, I'm pretty cheap relative to the rest of the NFL. And it would be with Davis Mills and CJ Stroud. That would put him under contract for 2 more years, but they're not going to want to lose Davis Mills right now. I promise you that, Nick.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, maybe they'll even draft a guy. Who knows? Everything is on the table. I would imagine you give a runway for Penix, but this new regime is not married to him by any means. He's just here. So we'll see what they bring in, and we'll hopefully find out more about Penix's prospects this year and what it looks like as far as his recovery. And I see people talking about Heineke and Desmond Ridder out there as well, Scott, if we want to go down that path.
Heineke was a good signing. As far as he's a solid backup quarterback, is what he was signed in, brought in to be. Now, the problem is they didn't let him compete, and he brought in, you were going to be the backup, and they handed Ridder the job without really a quarterback competition. That was one of the problems. And then if Ridder was going to be, if my evaluation of Ridder was as bad as it was, I should have shot higher than Heineke. But Heineke played some good football in Washington, including beating the brakes off the Falcons in this building behind me.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But Scott, I do need to get out of here for the kid drop off at daycare.
Yep.
So
we're going to get going. I do want to say thank you to a lot of folks who have come in. Art of the Genre. We got, I don't know if that was the one you're talking about. I can't even tell what that picture is. Yep. Janice coming in. Thank you, Janice, with a big super chat. Trenton several times. Edward, Lance, and Jared coming in talking about the offensive coordinators and several new members, y'all. This is so awesome. GATX coming out here. The Bryce is wrong. Where's that come from? Is that a Bryce Young shot? But he spells his name differently. Braylon Trice is not Bryce. That's just me getting mixed up in my head. But thank you. And what's so wrong about this Bryce person anyway? Bobby Means is a new member, and that might be Rhea. I'm not sure who that is on there, but love the picture. And then one more, and then we're going to get going. Good morning, Scott. This is from Curtis, who is also a member. Good morning, Scott, Nick, and always saying hello to the Falcons Nation. That is all of y'all. So good morning from Curtis. Made the live show. Who's going to be the new QB coach? Probably who they bring in as the offensive coordinator will coach quarterback. Stefanski will have a hand in that too as well, I'm sure. He was a longtime quarterback coach in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins. So he'll have a hand in it as well. But I would think that if it's Tommy Rees will come in as quarterbacks coach, offensive coordinator, and who else they bring in. But their next hire, big hire, will probably be the offensive coordinator will also have a hand in quarterback duties, would be my guess, Nick.
Yeah. And one final thing I did want to say before we get out of here. I know it's somewhat risky, but just given his track record, I would pay Kyle Pitts now.
Oh, we'll franchise tag him.
I would go past the franchise.
I'm going to tag him first, and then first step. We're going to franchise tag Kyle Pitts, $15.8 million, and then we're going to start negotiations.
Yeah, I'd like to get something done before the year starts, but the tag just extends the negotiation.
Right, the tag means I've got another year to do that. So I would absolutely franchise tag Kyle Pitts, $15.8 million guaranteed. Speaking of people that should be excited to play in a Kevin Stefanski offense, Kyle Pitts should be very excited.
Yep.
He's better than he's Njoku was one of those guys that has made a lot of money playing for Kevin Stefanski, and Kyle Pitts has that chance too. I'm tagging him for sure. Another good move from Terry Fontenot, rolling the dice on Kyle Pitts, and they weren't going to give up on him. We can't say, we totally blew this and give up on him for a seventh rounder and eating $10 million a contract. Wasn't going to do that. So they didn't have a whole lot of choice, but a slight roll of the dice to bring him back on his of not trading him last year paid off, because now you've got an asset. And if you decide to move him, you can get a hell of a lot more than you would have gotten 12 months ago at this time. So I agree 100%, Nick. Franchise tag him, and then let's see from there.
I just, with how much he's maximized ISO weapons in that offense and how much he likes to use 12 personnel, now you are going to have a Y to complement him. I don't know what the status is for Charlie Warner's contract, but I think Pitts is due for a big season. So would love to get that done as well as Drake London. And I know Jay comes in and says, no tag, let him walk and fill out the roster. What was that?
Hobby. It's hobby. And you don't let him walk. You trade him. You tag and trade him. You don't let him walk.
I just
tag him so then you can then trade him and get something for him. So if you don't want him, that's fine. I understand that. But you tag and trade.
Yeah, I have an issue with the free agent plan because of how teams now are using the salary cap, that you are not getting many difference makers in free agency anymore. I feel like teams now that they can set up the void years and everything, no real good players are hitting the market very often because they can just manipulate the cap. So I think if you have young talent with special traits, now granted, I'm not in-house. I can't talk to his, work ethic or buy-in or anything like that, but I would be pretty trepidatious to let him go, unless you're talking about like tagging him and getting a first-round pick back. I don't know if I'd want one this season personally, but maybe give it 2027. But I don't know. I think he's too. What is he? Only 24 years old still.
He just turned 20. He'll turn 26 in October.
26.
So he just turned 25.
Yeah, I would give it a little time.
So yeah, that's where I would be on that one. On that note, and again, I think Terry Fontenot did a really good job in free agency on that one. So on that note, for the most part, again, except for that big iceberg that we call Kirk Cousins, most of his stuff was good. He had a couple misses. They all do. But I can think of his misses on like off the top of my head. And they weren't. Morgan Fox was a miss. It wasn't that bad. Jamal Agnew, miss. Putting all your eggs in that basket. That was a miss. But he's $1.5 million. It hurt the team more than if you had spent $5 million. Is the thing, is because he was so bad at it. And then the Kirk Cousins ones obviously was huge. We are going to get out of here. Certainly appreciate everything that y'all have done. Yes, Major says should draft Cade Klubnik. Klubnik was being talked of number 1 before the season, as soon as recently as August. Late third round, 3rd, 4th, or 5th. I'm in. I'd be okay with that. Low risk reward. We'll see, but his stock fell. So let's see. So on that note, I'm going to get out of here. We're going to get out of here. Appreciate everybody for being here. Thanks for our super chat superstars, our members, and all of y'all who remember to hit the like button to share this, because this channel and this show has really grown a lot. And it's because of y'all. And we certainly thank you for it. Next time we see, unless something happens and we go live, will be Monday. And then Wednesday will be from Mobile, Alabama. It's almost draft time. We'll be down at the Senior Bowl next Wednesday, and we'll have 1 practice under our belts. Tuesday practice, Wednesday podcast. Might come back Friday and talk Senior Bowl. So we'll start moving on into draft and free agency starting next week. Appreciate y'all being here. Y'all have a great rest of your day, rest of your week. Stay safe out there. When in doubt, stay home. Don't get out there. You might know how to drive. That doesn't mean these other idiots do. So y'all have a great day. We'll see y'all later. See you next time.
Peace.